The legend of roguelikes has returned, the sequel to the game that set this whole deck-building genre into overdrive with its success. But does it live up to the hype? It's still in early access, but the core of the game is most definitely there, and after a solid 50 plus hours of gameplay, I think I can pretty safely give my opinion on how well things are looking for the project. So, let's see, will this game become just as legendary as its predecessor? This is Slay the Spire 2. The only way I can really describe Slay the Spire's art style is like a painting of some sort. Everything's hand-drawn in a way where objects and characters all sort of naturally flow together. Everything from the environments to characters feel like they could be very simple little oil paintings or something if they were physical, but now they're given motion and put together to create a cohesive world. Now, the game being in early access means that not all of the art assets are complete, and in such situations they put in a very basic MS Paint illustration with small text attached that reads placeholder. And honestly, I just find that rather cute. Respectable, and cute, and also kind of funny. The sound and music are honestly not that much to write home about, but I think that might work in the game's favor, at least for me. Like a lot of people nowadays, I like to sometimes chill out and play games whilst either in a voice call with friends or watching videos, anime, movies, etc. on a second monitor. And Slay the Spire 2 is perfect for that. Not just in the turn-based gameplay, which we'll get into later, but also in how subdued the game is in general. The music and sound isn't too intense or loud, it's more atmospheric than anything else. So it's easy to have it on just a little bit in the background while I'm playing and watching other stuff. But that doesn't mean I'm neglecting focusing on the game itself. For instance, the story. This being a roguelike, there's not too much of an immediate story, more like a basic premise and then a bunch of lore you can unlock on the side. But, in short, after the events of Slay the Spire 1, the Spire was indeed slain, and no, I'm not kidding. An unidentified individual, though presumably someone from the first game's roster, aka you, managed to reach the top and actually bring the Spire down, causing it to collapse and disappear. Everything returned to normal for a time until, seemingly out of nowhere, the Spire suddenly sprang right back up like before. And just like before, a city has begun to form around the Spire, as adventurers of all kinds come from across the world to try and enter and reach the top. The game has us follow the stories of our playable characters and their reasons for traversing the Spire. You've got the Ironclad, a warrior bound by a demonic pact to rage through the Spire in an attempt to kill the Architect, the powerful entity at the top. The Silent, a woman from an order of hunters who's chosen to make the Architect her next target. The Regent, a prince from beyond the stars, who's really just here to show off and inflate his ego. The Necrobinder, a woman who died within the confines of the Spire but was brought back to life as a lich and now seeks revenge. And finally, the Defect, an ever-evolving automaton that wishes to use the Architect's power to make itself whole. Now, I just spouted off a bunch of random lore to you, but the game doesn't directly tell you any of this. You have to unlock all of this exposition by playing the game and unlocking what are called epochs, which are events on the story's timeline that not only give you bits of lore, but also unlock cards and items and such to further vary the gameplay. And if you're not really into that kind of thing and you actually want the story told to you, well, you're not gonna get that here. But on the note of the gameplay, If you've played Slay the Spire 1, then you know exactly what you're getting into when you're buying this game. The way I describe it would be Slay the Spire 1, but more and better as a general rule of thumb. For those who don't already know, it's a deck-building roguelike where you have to ascend 3 levels of the titular spire, defeating enemies, gathering items, and so on along the way, with each of the 3 levels home to a boss at the end. Once you've gotten past level 3, you reach the Architect. Your character says something, or doesn't, the Architect tells them off, and your character attempts to kill them, only to inevitably not deal enough damage and be killed, thus ending your run. As for the deck building part, each character starts with a default deck of cards themed around them specifically, and as you progress, you'll get chances to modify that deck by adding and removing cards, slowly building out your deck towards focusing in on certain mechanics to be more effective in combat. Generally, each character has some mechanics that are unique to them and their cards, whilst there are also colorless cards that are more generic in their application, and cards can be acquired through special means like the shop or events. For instance, the Ironclad has a lot of cards that focus on sacrificing health in exchange for some other buff like a damage boost. The Defect can use orbs to apply certain effects without needing extra energy. The Silent can summon shivs and apply poisons. The Necrobinder has a skeletal hand that can not only deal damage as a minion but also tanks damage on your behalf. And the Regent likes to summon a sword that he can continuously buff with more damage and extra enhancements to make it more and more dangerous the longer a fight goes on. Speaking of, the Necrobinder and Regent are brand new to the sequel, while the Watcher from the first game has been completely removed. Whether or not the Watcher will make a return, I don't know. The game's still in early access. There's plenty that's going to get tweaked over time, so take what I say here with a grain of salt in case something changes, but I think the general rundown is accurate enough. I've been seeing a lot of people complaining that the game is too difficult or unfair in some ways, and personally, I just haven't seen it. I've beaten a run at least once on each character, and as of now I've reached Ascension 3 with the Defect, and I personally find the game certainly challenging, but decently fair if you know how to build right. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw, sometimes it's a skill issue, sometimes it's a little bit of both. And that is Slay the Spire 2, in my opinion, challenging but fair deck-building roguelike that looks to be on track to be a more than worthy successor to the name of Slay the Spire. I'm absolutely going to be playing more of this and keeping track of its progress in the future, and I recommend you all to do the same. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later.